watching the Tarot Talk Show on the Parent Encounters Network. I'm your host, Rebecca Brown, broadcasting from the beautiful hills of Northern California. We have a great show for you tonight as Judi Thomases, award-winning author of Wisdom's Game, How to Turn Life's Pain into Joy, and Astrologer, is in the Tarot House with us tonight. But if you missed our last show, I think that you should go see it on thetarottalk.com. We had an amazing conversation with Rebecca Dorian Brown, the creator of the Dreaming Girl Highway Inner Vision Oracle cards. So check that out. You can also like us on Facebook, The Tarot Talk Show, and tweet us at The Tarot Talk Show on Twitter. And you know, Tim is here with me tonight. Tim, how are you?
I am wonderful. It's been a great week, and this is going to be a fabulous show. We all know and love Judi to death, so can't wait to get into it.
Yes, I am so excited. Well, I'd like to welcome my guest to the show. My guest is Judi Thomases. She's a woman who is very dear to me, and I know that you will all love her as much as I do. So, Judi, welcome to the Tarot Talk.
Oh, it's great to be here. I love being on your show and relating to both of you and talking about tarot and metaphysics and astrology and all kinds of esoterica. It couldn't be a better day.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you back on because I know you were on in September. You were just my second guest on the show when we were on Blog Talk. So thanks so much for coming on again. I'm super excited. Well, Judi, one of the things that I've been leading the show off with the guests that I started doing after you appeared was asking the guests in one word, what do they feel lies at their core as readers? And at the time that I started doing this, I had already had you on the show, but I really want to ask you this question now that you're back on because this idea was really inspired by you, and it's something that you and I really kind of explored together to start with. So I think that it's definitely a question I would like to ask you. So, astrologer, reader, teacher, Judi Thomases, in one word, what do you feel lies at your core as a reader?
Service.
I like that. And I think that's actually also the answer that we had last show, too.
Yeah.
So the service is really coming forward. I love that.
You mean somebody else gave you that word too?
Yeah, Rebecca Brown. Rebecca Brown. This one. So, okay, explain. Let's go into that a little further.
Well, as I developed my own wisdom and spiritual evolution, it became clear that the whole point of what we're doing here is to help each other to grow, to develop our conscious awareness, and to open our heart center. Tarot, as you know, it's a path. It's called the Royal Road, and it's a path of spiritual development and insight. So I've been working with the tarot for over 40 years, believe it or not, and also with astrology and metaphysics and all kinds of paths, spiritual paths. And I think that what I've gotten out of all of it is that you use your abilities, psychic abilities, your own experience, which gives you common sense and everyday wisdom, and you use any of these gifts that you've been given or chose, and you use them to help others. So that would be spiritual counseling. That would be steering people towards better choices for their health or for their relationships or for their even career, have a better life on the planet. And what you're doing after a while, it's your livelihood and it's your joy to do that. But it's really also what you do to help the planet. And the more that I've gone inwards and seen this, the more I realize that even the tarot is telling us this, that when we align with our higher selves and become the hand of Source, whether you call that God or the universe or whatever, you are functioning in a role that's doing the work of the higher realm, let's say. And that work is service, it's really to help everybody and master things. I learn from my clients, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
You learn from your clients, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
So we're here to help people.
Yeah, I'd actually like to share with everyone. I've had the pleasure and joy of working with both of you for like the last year and a half in a monthly tarot group. Rebecca, unfortunately, is in Cali now, so she's there in spirit. and
she sometimes comes and visits the old gang.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
And of course, we all get information that just comes in, but I don't typically do what I would call channel, where I'm not aware of what's going on with the information. With Judi's book, it is such a powerful tool for spiritual evolution in general. Every time I start to read it, I wind up just like kind of almost passing out and chat and have to get like pen and paper, and I'm channeling. I have no idea what I'm writing until I'm done, and I go back and read it. And it's, you think this is a very
thank you,
very small little book. This
very
is
tiny.
Infinite information, and it is definitely when I see it, it's wisdom's game, but it always in my head is wisdom's gate, because it opens something.
That's the new book that I'm about to get published. It's talking about keys and gates and doorways and rising up through different levels to new and newer awareness. Yeah. Thanks, Tim. But I also would suggest that that's the kind of book, you could read it from cover to cover, but after you've done it, you might just want to open it once in a while to wherever your intuition searches and just see what's coming through, because the entire book was channeled. So let me just explain that, okay, Rebecca?
Oh, yeah.
Because people ask me, what's the difference between a psychic, a medium, a channeler? People, they don't really have, information or understanding. So I was doing tarot cards, which is a tool, like they call it an oracle, that brings out your psychic awareness. And I was doing that for 30 years before the channeling started. The tool, you might see something in the symbol that you've learned about, so that's a meaning. But you might also see something and all of a sudden your higher intuition starts giving you information. So psychic is where you use your own gift or device and you kind of go inwards and you get information, helpful information that you don't even know where it's coming from. Mediumism is something different, where perhaps you're seeing the echoes of your deceased loved ones, and that's not what I do. Now, channeling, to me, that's a whole different ballgame. And some of you have actually seen me go from everyday beta awareness, and I could be talking, and all of a sudden,
well, I've seen it at a talk that you did. Yeah. It was
so that's where it's almost like you step aside, and this is not anything like possession. This is an invited process. You have to be willing to let the higher voice, the higher wisdom come through. And if you don't like it, just reject it if you don't feel it's good stuff. But I never had that experience. And when this information starts to come through, for me, it's like dictation. It's word for word. It's specific. I might get images with it. I feel I'm sitting there the whole time, and it's my voice, but the language, the vocabulary is very different. It's much more almost poetic. And that's not a right word for it, but I don't know quite, how to explain it. But it'll be either while I'm getting these words or afterwards, and it's blowing my mind because it's obviously coming from a deeper, higher source. And it's word for word. It's like they were writing the story, whoever they are, and that's the subject of my new book too. Writing it from start to finish, and I didn't need to have any, I don't need to do the work. I just need to be the vehicle, the conduit, the avenue, okay? And then all this comes forth. So that took a certain level of development that took me, say, 30 years to get to. And then this process could begin, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's all on the inner planes. That's where the source is.
Right. Well, and thank you for making that, explaining to us the difference, because it's true. Like, people, I think, and understandably so, tend to lump everything in together between, like mediumship, channeling, psychic, intuition, and then just straight up the more scholarly maybe aspects of the metaphysical, like the cerebral stuff. So, no, I'm glad that you, were able to kind of dig into that. And again, Tim, you want to hold up Judi's book?
Yes.
Thank you, Tim. Wisdom's Game.
Wisdom's Game, How to Turn Life's Pain into Joy.
Which is also available on Kindle and Nook. So if you don't want to buy a book, you can do it that way.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Yes.
But it's so much nicer to hold it and feel it.
Yes, me too. I like books. I like to underline. I like to turn down pages and stuff.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
Oh, and one more thing that I wanted to throw in here. If I tell people that I'm an astrologer, they don't get that either.
And that's about what we're going to get into that. Yeah, just now.
And they say to me, "Oh, what is it? Do you do palms?
Yeah,
do you read palms?
Yeah.
Or do you know numerology? You know, it's like they're all different things, people. They're all different things. You know."
But I think that it's understandable, I think, to get them mixed up because, well, for someone like me, say we're talking about a completely like unrelated like topic, you know, to me it would all be the same. Like, I guess with math or something, you know, like to me all different ologies and math would be the same. Like, I wouldn't understand the difference. So I think it's kind of like that, I think. But speaking of astrology, so we're here today to discuss astrology and the tarot, and perhaps how the two are different and work together. And I'm glad you brought that up because the bulk of your work has really been astrology, and and you're really one of the, you know, the old school astrologers, really, you know. And I think that it's so cool what you've done. So, all right, so talk to us a little bit about just your work with astrology and what it is, and then how it's different from a different method, a different tool, language than the tarot.
I just want to start by saying that I've done both things for as long. They are very different, the tarot psychic stuff and the astrological stuff, and I'll explain that in a minute. When I was first starting out in this work, I went to see a psychic, and she said to me, "You will do the figures as well as the numbers." And I didn't understand that right away, but she meant the tarot figures as well as the astrological, mathematical numbers. And I've actually done both as long and as maybe deeply all along. So there was years when I taught the tarot. I taught an introductory tarot, and I taught all the majors, and got into the philosophy, the metaphysics, the esoteric stuff in tarot. And then I also simultaneously was studying and doing astrology. Going to have my 19th astrology article in Dell Horoscope next month.
Congrats.
So, and gave talks on that, and you know, I see clients, and that's a whole different ballgame. So I'll explain that. I'm sure that your audience understands what tarot cards are, and I see tarot as a path inward to identify stages like archetypes within the human development, and also in your everyday life. The 4 suits give you information about your love life, your business, your thought patterns, and what am I leaving out? Air is the thought, and earth is your business, and cups are your relationships. And what did I just leave out? Some suit.
Pentacles.
Pentacles is business. And
Pentacles.
What's the
wands.
last one?
Got your fire. Wands.
Wands, your creative energy. Thank you.
Spirit.
Senior moment, blank out. That's okay. That's a lot lately.
I messed up the major arcana last week, so
we're all in the same boat. Good.
Yeah.
So, tarot can give you information about what's happening, sort of like future stuff, and you get it psychically, and there's a path of development built into it. Now, astrology is different. Astrology, to me, the pure astrology of your natal chart and your progressions and transits, what that shows is the energy pattern that you chose when you took your first breath. It was a pattern, like a crystallized pattern in the heavens, the celestial pattern of the stars and planets. And then there are ways of rotating those patterns and progressing them ahead, and then you see like the paths of energy. And you can tell the person timing of events. You can tell the person when a certain choice must be made, a fork in the road, you know. And when you work with astrology, you're doing guidance as far as figuring out your karma, your choices, your gifts, your challenges, the pattern that you're working under. And astrology is really great for the timing of things. It's very specific. Something is going to start on August 31st, and it's going to peak on November 17th, and then it's going to wane until such and such. Really specific. Or you could get key dates, you know, the full moon or the eclipse or a planetary station. So you're giving people a way of navigating, maneuvering through what they're working with. And in a way, the tarot does that too. But they're very different paths. I feel the tarot works psychically, and it works to help you develop spiritually. I feel astrology works a little differently. It could be more mundane, more about everyday life, you know. But I can't distinguish between the two, which is better or not better.
Yeah. It's just different methods. I agree. That's one of the reasons I really enjoy astrology, is because it's more specific to me than working with the tarot. I think the tarot can be very timing is tricky, as you know, in reading the tarot. And I feel that astrology it's easier to pinpoint things. What was I going to say?
The tarot uses more of like your Neptunian abilities. That would be Neptune, Pisces, anything mystical, anything otherworldly. It takes you out of here to where the reader starts to see or hear or access information. And that's a Neptunian process. Whereas in astrology, it's more mathematical. And eventually, you get so good at it, and your mind is doing these fast computations, and this is called a Uranian experience, where you're using probably different pieces of your brain. And you get so fast with that you go into the intuitive. So astrology takes you into your intuition, because you're going to see something in the chart. You're not sure exactly where you got that, but this is what's like, yelling at you to tell the person. And the Neptune stuff could be images, feelings, a sense, a knowing. It's very different. Very different. So I bet if they put us under, like, what are those electrodes that they stick on your brain, or did an MRI or something, they would see different parts of your brain lighting up when you did these different functions,
And Rebecca won't like this insight, I'm sure, but
oh boy.
As we're talking about using both and navigating your path and everything and using both, it's very much the Hanged Man because you're doing both sides, working from the same perspective.
Yeah, the Hanged Man is a Neptunian function. I did a little reading up on this. Now, that sort of takes me into the idea of how things are combined. The tarot, where is astrology in the tarot? Okay, can I talk a bit about that, Tim?
I just wanted to add really quickly, though, that I see, in the sense that they're similar, I see astrology as a language, and I see tarot as a language also. One's a language of symbols and archetypes, and the other, is also, or it's a language of energy.
Yes.
So to throw that in there quickly is that I feel that the two are compatible because they're languages to me. Systems. Okay, anyway, go ahead.
Well, they may be, two languages that appeal to your left brain or your right brain.
Right.
And that the gift is that when you get good at this, they cross, they merge. Your brain opens up or expands and can pull from both things, rather than being like an all left brain rationalist, scientist, logical person versus an all right brain. Oh, I feel everything, but I don't, very woo-woo, and that might be where they blend. So in the tarot, first of all, you have the 4 suits, right? You have earth, air, fire, and water.
Uh-huh.
And those give you, and the magician has those 4 suits on the table in front of
the cups, pentacles, wands, and sword. I mean, that was elementals, but the suits.
That's his tools.
Just to clarify,
that's our tools to play the game of life with. Okay. And so we go through each of the suits, and then we have 2 will mean some kind of coupling or joining or duality. 5 might mean change. 9 is the step before completion. 10 is completion. In the tarot, that's what you have. Mm-hmm. But I find that the numbers work differently in astrology. See, like 5 in astrology, the 5th house is creativity. It's offspring of the self. It's not really that in tarot. It's as though 5 in tarot is change, right? The 5 of wands, 5 of cups. It all represents some
it's like
situation.
That midpoint. Yeah, the midpoint. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay. So, and then in the tarot, aces represent beginnings. Mm-hmm. In astrology, the 1st house and Aries represent beginnings.
Right. The self. Yeah.
But there are also things such as a progression of the progressed moon onto the sun represents a new cycle, or a planet going from one house to another or from one sign to another by progression. That's a new beginning. So you're working within different symbol systems, mm-hmm. right?
Correct.
And you do have correspondences in the tarot. There's the card of the moon. There's the card of the sun. And they they sort of have similarities. You know, in Esoteric Tarot, the Paul Foster Case book, and the Mystery School teachings, all of the majors correspond to either a sign or a planet. I don't usually use that. I went through the Paul Foster Case book. Let me see if I can show this to you. And you see how I tagged everything here?
Yeah, it's a classic.
It's a classic.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And you go through it, and it'll talk about the star corresponding to Aquarius, the water bearer. Well, that kind of, you know, you can see it in the star card. You can see her with the water, pouring the water, right? So, but it's an esoteric meaning. Why the star corresponds to Aquarius. And that might not have too much to do with the way astrologers read a chart. Okay. One more thing along these lines that I could explain is the 4 fixed signs. Okay. In astrology, the fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. And fixed energy as opposed to cardinal or mutable. Fixed doesn't change. These people are very stubborn, willful, any one of those 4 signs, okay? And if we have listeners who are that, don't get offended. It could be great to be fixed. Everything else can be changing, shifting, and you don't want to change. You don't want to move. You don't want to change your systems of doing things. You don't want anybody to mess up the way you do your papers, or you have your cans on the shelf, or your books on the whatever. Fixed holds the universe together. And the 4 fixed signs, they do show up in 2 of the tarot majors. Do you know what they are?
Sorry,
You spaced out? You zoned out there?
I have thought. I'm writing it in...
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, it's the Wheel of Fortune.
Okay.
And there's 4... They're not all animals, because one's a human. Okay? So the bull is Taurus, the lion is Leo, the eagle is Scorpio, and the man is Aquarius.
Yes.
And they hold the universe together. They are fixity, solidity, stability. And then you get it again in the world card. You get the same for symbols. So there's a correspondence then with astrology, fixity, and what those cards are telling us. You know? Now, if you're doing a reading, and it's just a person, and you're not talking about philosophy, you're just talking about the person's life. You're trying to help them. And one of these cards comes up, that might be very good. In other words, they're in a situation that's enduring or has some kind of stability to it.
I like that interpretation for the wheel and the world then. Yeah, pulling that astrology into it. I like that a lot. Yeah. Well, and I think that a couple of the other, well, obvious and yet not so obvious astrological correspondences with, as far as the majors are concerned, we also have Libra with justice.
The scales.
Scorpio with death. Scorpio, the deep sign of spirituality and transformation, corresponding to the death card. Yeah, and so
you can find, like, the High Priestess has the crescent moon at her feet, and her headdress is symbolic of the full and the crescent moons. The Empress has Venus at her feet because she's creative imagination and very fertile. And the things about the Empress have to do with creating beauty. The Emperor has the Aries, the Ram, symbols
I
there.
am the ram.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Get her done. I see the Emperor as kind of like the get her done card, and I feel that like the Aries energy astrologically pulls from that, and I think that really contributes to the essence of the Emperor sometimes when it's like get it done. Like Aries, don't get in my way. You know, boot stomping. I'm getting it done. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the Chariot it's representing Cancer because the breastplate is like the crab shell. And you read about that and you find out that this is, will or intention, and it needs to be protected. So there's interesting correspondences. Cancer is very sensitive, very psychic, so it needs some kind of protection around it. And there's very interesting correspondences when you look at it. The Strength card has Leo, the lion, in it. The lion is your vital energy, your vital life force, and it's also your lower desires, the animal nature. Leo's the king of the beasts, right?
Right. King of the jungle. Yeah.
King of the jungle.
In the jungle.
And the Strength card is taming that. So what does that mean? That means that here's all this vitality, power, the actions of your desire nature. It could be so strong, it could mess you up. Some people have addictions, or they make unwise choices to fulfill these powerful urges or appetites or desires. So you get to the Strength card. What is the strength? She's taming that. The lion has a different, sort of a different symbolism in tarot than it would in astrology. In astrology, you get a person with a lot of Leo, they should be in showbiz. They should be on screen. They should be out in front of people. They should be given a lot of, celebrity. Or you get politicians that have Leo in their chart too. I feel we're talking a different symbol set.
Right.
Different meaning for the same symbol.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. Well, and my thought was, when we were discussing earlier, and I was like, oh, I got to write this down before I forget it. But I was thinking of the astrological correspondences in the tarot minors, which I work with quite a bit. And I found that it really does bring another layer to the card if you need it. Like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it brings another layer. But what I was noticing is that you had mentioned the fixed signs of Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Taurus. And the correspondence for the tarot minors, those 4 fixed signs fall halfway in between the tarot minors. And so it's almost like the energy is like fixed at that point in the tarot minor line. And so your challenge is, like, for example, with Leo, are you going to take that and channel it in a good way? Or are you going to take that and channel it in a negative way? And then the end result comes later on in the tarot line as those signs astrologically become mutable. And it kind of points to you, like, what direction that you're headed. Does that make sense? Like,
it makes a lot of sense. In your astrological chart, you have combinations of things. Nobody is all in one sign. You have a piece here and a piece there, and they all manifest in your life. So you may be a Leo, but have a lot of stuff in Virgo, and then that's mostly mutable. So in life, in the course of life, things come forward for you, and you could, like you say, use it wisely. Let's talk about Leo. We're on the Leo thing. Okay. Leo can be a wonderful leader, role model, somebody who uses creative gifts and shines and makes people happy. Or they can be obnoxious. They could be me, look at me, and, okay, enough about me. What do you think of me? That's the classic Leo, complaint. It's self-aggrandizement. So the older the soul is, the more they'll use the Leo energy in a way that is it's just radiant. And maybe the younger the soul, the more they'll use it for, personal whatever, ego needs. And I think that, in doing a reading with tarot, and you're looking at maybe the minor arcana, and you're looking at a person who seems to be grappling maybe with getting recognition or using their business in a certain way, and maybe you see some of that fiery Leo energy. You could see it if a lot of wands come up. You could see it if there's a court card with the wands. You could see it if the person seems to be making good choices about creative opportunities. So you could sort of see the fiery energy and help them figure out how to use it. Yeah, and that could give you information as you're doing your reading.
I think so. Well, and in terms of the astrology coming into the tarot, like with the tarot minors, we were talking about the self-aggrandizement, like the me, and slightly maybe even defensiveness, kind of the outer outward appearance of
like
that.
Like a mask.
Well, and I feel like, in tarot, like the Seven of Wands, for example, would be the Mars in Leo energy, and so, which I feel kind of fits with that. And so I feel that, these fixed signs come halfway into the tarot minors before they become the mutable signs.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, well, and even with the sevens in the tarot, I feel like the sevens are kind of the tipping point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of
like Libra, halfway around the circle.
Yeah, exactly. Like the tipping point, which way is it going to go? Is it going to go this way? Is it going to go that way? How are you going to... So, for example, the Seven of Wands, how are you going to use that Mars in Leo energy? Like, what are you going to do with it? Which I feel the tarot then, that card in that reading kind of indicates, like, what way are you going to go? How are you going to channel this? And perhaps then the card after kind of shows... if you do go this way with that energy, what this can then become.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I think, like, just for an example, I think I'm right. I think Tom Cruise has Mars in Leo. I'm pretty sure he's a Cancer, family man. But every role he plays is an action role, Mission Impossible, what was that, Jack Ryan,
see it, yeah.
He's an action star.
Right.
So that's a terrific use. And I think he does his own stunts, too. A lot of them, or he used to. So that's a great way of using your Mars in Leo. It's very dramatic, and it's very action, and it's very... But how's he using it at home? What's he doing with his wives and girlfriends, Is it all me, So... Right. So you could probably see in the cards more about how, in other words, in their chart, you could see the pattern. Okay, this person has Mars in Leo. But in the cards, that'll give you clues as to how they're using it right now.
Right, exactly. I think that's what I was trying to get at, that you put forward so much better than I do. But yes, like the cards are indicative if you use both systems of that energy pattern, and it will show you what it's slowly developing into. Like another example, like I enjoy the Three of Cups tarot card. It's one of my favorites. And astrologically, it's also one of my favorites because the correspondence for that one is the Mercury in Cancer energy, which to me is like really great communication with the people that you feel close to, who you feel like family, And so I feel that pulling astrology into it when I'm reading the cards that way just re-emphasizes the need for community, the need for family ties.
This might be saying to your audience, hey, it might benefit to learn a little bit about astrology. You know, you don't have to become an astrologer, but it's got symbols that they can be an adjunct. They can enhance your readings. You can, like Mercury in Cancer, the symbol you just used, can be very impressionable, whereas Mercury in Virgo will be very analytical, you know. So you might see that in a card reading this way. Let's say that you get threes, because that's the mind, right?
Right.
And you might see Three of Cups, which would be kind and sweet and receptive. That's a good word, right?
Right.
But next to it, you might see the Three of Swords reversed. I don't know if you guys use reversals in your readings.
I don't, but yeah, I know.
Or you just use a different deck where, you know, it evokes different things. And you might see the person vacillating between negative thinking or anger, you know, say swords. Let's say Three of Swords. That could be, you know, words that cut. Or you could see a way that the person needs to handle thought. How do they tell themselves what's going on? Are they happy about it? Are they angry and wounded? You know, I mean, tarot can show you moods or expressions, right?
No, I agree. And pulling the astrology into it, I feel just really further enhances the card. Like, for example, we discussed the Mercury in Cancer, which is the Three of Cups, and you had mentioned it can be impressionable line of thinking. And then you mentioned the Mercury in Virgo, which is 10 of Pentacles in the system that I use anyway, the Golden Dot system. So I feel that then, okay, so if you get the 10 of Pentacles as an advice card, for example, I feel that the Mercury then in Virgo energy would be to be very analytical in your thinking, be it your business or be it your, you know, relationship or what have you. So yeah, I feel that this system, astrology, really can enhance enhance the reading. You mentioned Three of Swords. That's very Saturn and Libra in this system, which I feel also corresponds with what you were saying about that card.
Yeah. It's like, this is where I feel that tarot can really help people, that it can guide. Guidance is a good word there, because if you have two different ways of responding to the same event, and they could both be good, or maybe you see one as better for the person than the other, I think tarot almost opens up their emotional state or their how they're handling things. I think you get insights into the person's reactions, where they stand inside of themselves. I don't know if you get that from astrology. You get patterns in astrology, and then you have to ask them, are you going through this and that? Are you, struggling with this and that? But tarot will tell you. It will tell you. When I do a reading, I start the whole astrological reading with a single tarot card, and guaranteed that card will just give like the whole story at the moment. And then I'll take that and I'll go back to the horoscope, and there it is. There's all the patterns. Pluto's doing this and that, and Saturn's doing this. But that one card already told me, it's amazing. So I think I guess talking now is bringing me more and more to the sense of it. But I think tarot reads the inner person.
What's interesting is it gets you right to the truth and the heart of it. But a lot of people don't realize that that's their reaction and that's the energy that they're focusing on. until you actually bring that out and point out the pattern to them, because a lot of people think that there's something completely different in their own logic.
Yeah, yeah. They haven't named it or talked to themselves about it. It's unconscious, and they're feeling it, they're living it, but they haven't formulated it. And if you give them that insight through tarot and then start bringing it out, and then you lay down some more cards and the story unfolds, and sometimes you see where they're going with it or where they're at with it now. Out with what? With their experiences, with family, with business, with thinking. Thinking could be very clear, logical, analytical. Thinking could be negative and depressing. You know, where are you with that? Now, in astrology, I might see Saturn squaring Mercury and say, are you depressed right now? You know, but in tarot, it'll just show. It'll just show up. The cards will show it.
Well, and I feel that tarot is so, well, it's completely visual, just with the imagery and the archetypes, that it really kind of speaks to that. And our primary sense is sight. So I feel that, you know, that it's very, that's why tarot just works so well. But I do feel that the two systems, especially combined together, are very, very useful, very helpful.
Well, one thing that I do is I use Astrodice.
Oh yes, you're the Astrodice. Yes.
I use the Astrodice. So what are they? Well, one has numbers from 1 to 12. That's the houses. One has the planets from Aries to Pisces, the signs, Aries to Pisces. And one has all the planets.
Okay.
So you can ask a question as you would ask of the tarot. You ask it of the Astrodice if you know astrology, and you get a layout of 3, and it gives you an answer. So here you're using astrology, but you just use tarot, and you're just going from one to the other. You know, it's like they're one thing, really. If people are put off by astrology because you have to learn a lot of math.
Mm-hmm. Right, it's so much more than the pop. It's so much more than the pop culture, like quick, dirty astrology. Like, oh, my sun's sign is Cancer. Are you my total match because you are a Taurus or whatever? You know, and it's so much more than that, and so much more cerebral and serious. Yeah.
And you don't have to, you don't have to do it that way. If you want to be a real astrologer, you do. And we are a crazy bunch. We are a crazy bunch. Do we have time for a tiny little story, an astro story?
Sure, go for it.
My husband, Carl, I made him wait to propose. I looked at the clock and I said, 5 more minutes. He said, can I say it now? No, 4 more minutes. And I was working with astrology to have a perfect chart. Then I thought that was crazy enough, and thankfully he put up with me. But I was at a meeting, and I met a different astrologer lady there, and she said, oh, that's nothing. I made my boyfriend stand on the certain street corner in Manhattan so that we would have the right latitude and longitude. We are nuts. We are crazy. We are trying to create energy patterns that work perfectly.
Well, it's a tool, though. Like, I don't think it's that crazy. It's a tool, you know? And to people who are like, I don't believe in astrology, it's like, well, that's okay, but belief is not required. I mean, it's like gravity. It's real anyway, you know? And, it's just a tool. You just wanted the energy pattern, you know, to be just right. Just like you wouldn't plan a party if it's going to rain on Saturday. Like, you wouldn't plan a big party. Of course, you want the energy pattern to be as well as it can be. And even with me, like, I travel, thanks to you for teaching me astrology. I travel on the days that I have really good astrological transits. I've never, knock on wood, like where's my wood here? I've never had a delayed flight. I've never missed a flight. Everything has gone smoothly. I've never lost my baggage. And I swear to you, most of the time, the seat next to me is empty. Like, I'm not even, it's just a tool.
So it looks like magic to the rest of the world, but we know that we're just using a tool. We're using it well.
Yeah.
I'm in awe of people that can do all that, because numbers and math, no. That's when I hit that, I'm so pretty, not smart. And
well,
that's when I have Judi throw the Astrodice, because, you know, boom, there it is. And you're just a font because you have it all in your head. You don't even need to reference it.
Oh, no way. She's so amazing. She's got, like, everybody's chart in her head. And she doesn't need to look at the chart because it's in her head. And she'll just tell you what's going on. Like, it's...
Yes. And I can remember people's charts better than I can remember their names.
Yeah.
You know, like, Rebecca is a Sun, Venus, Cancer with a Leo, Mercury, midheaven, and a Scorpio rising. And I see the wheel in my head. Like, I have a photographic memory. But that's not all astrologers do. We keep the natal chart in our heads, but then we have to rotate. We have to abstractly rotate where planets are now against that. You have to have the type of brain for it, or it's going to be very difficult. And if you do, it'll come to you easily. But if you don't, it's not your thing. Maybe runes are. Or maybe numerology is, or maybe palmistry. You know, nothing is good, bad, or otherwise. It's just another device.
Well, that's why I love that there's so many systems and so many things. And I mean, I've heard from a lot of people that, I tried to read tarot and it just didn't call to me. Like, I'm no good at it, blah, blah, blah. But and I always tell them, yeah, keep going. Like, explore other methods, other languages, other mediums, because just the fact that you felt called to even pick up the tarot deck is very telling. Like, that's very telling. So follow that. Who knows what you'll find out that you're good at? Maybe it's like the tea leaves, or numerology, or who knows, or auras, or who knows. But yeah, absolutely explore and really get into it.
You were such a great teacher yourself when we had the meetups with you, Rebecca. You would have us play with different things, reading smoke, reading wax, reading...
Read eggs. We broke some eggs in a bowl and read the... Yeah.
Actually, one of the first meetings I came to, I did salt, and I told you where you're living now.
That's true. You saw the hills and my house, and it's true. Yep, I still have your notes from that reading, just from salt. So yeah, I mean, who knows? I think it's great. There's so many methods. But okay, so Judi, you have the Astrodice. So let's give this a try. Like, if you don't mind, let's do a roll, and then we can combine tarot and astrology, and we'll use Tim. So Tim, do you have a question, or do you just want to see like how the week ahead is going to go, or?
Yeah, just whatever the universe wants to tell me.
Okay, so I'm using Astrodice and you're using tarot, Rebecca?
Well, you're using the dice, and then whatever comes up, I'm going to use the tarot correspondent for that.
Okay. So Tim just wants he just wants a general guidance or insight. Okay. So what we have here coming up, you can't see it, but it's in front of me. Let's see if I could do something. There you go.
Yeah.
See, I just have, okay. It shows me the planet Neptune, the sign Capricorn, and the house 8th. Okay. Now, this is very interesting because Neptune is psychic and paranormal, and 8th house can be occult. It could be the deep mysteries. But Capricorn is profession. Capricorn is business. So this can easily talk about your work because you're a psychic. That's your livelihood. And 8th house could mean going deeper. But there's a second meaning that can be derived from this. Capricorn is business. Neptune can be fuzzy, vulnerable, gullible, deceived. An 8th house can be monies owed to you. Okay? So you would want to be cautious in the upcoming period when it came to things such as, I don't know, accounts receivable, which I'm sure you don't have because you're psychic, you're not a corporation. It could be things having to do with insurance matters, with banks or financial companies. So I would say to you to establish your business on more solid ground. Okay? Maybe 8th house could be taxes. So, and Capricorn is being professional about things. So don't be fuzzy. Don't be loosey-goosey. Be more, in terms of your profession, be more solid. Go more in that direction.
Okay.
And that's what I just got out of 3.
Probably really good for me because I'm a Gemini and I tend to
just leave it like out there. Well,
I'm like, have you done this yet? Have you done that yet? Oh no, I'll do. And I'm like, no, you got to get on this website. You got to do this. But he's good at social media stuff. I will say that. Like he's very good, at keeping up with that. But yeah,
well, that's a Gemini thing, being chatty and talkative and social and
right.
But now Capricorn is coming forward, so you're out there. The government's going to find out you're doing this. Get your taxes in order. That's what it says. Interestingly enough, if you don't sell a product, if you just give information, there's no taxable. I'm not an accountant, but I don't think there's a taxable consequence. So it's just if you are selling a product. Your service is just so maybe you want to like get yourself incorporated or something.
Well, and to pull tarot into this conversation, I mean, there's not a card that is Neptune in Capricorn. However, Capricorn is the first 3 cards in the Pentacles suit line, because the cardinal signs come first. So, you've got your ace as cardinal earth, which is Capricorn, and then you've got 2 and 3, which is also ruled by Capricorn because it's that cardinal energy, the foundation. So again, I feel that because it's Capricorn, this is work related, practical stuff related, right? And it's setting that foundation. So I agree, like that came forward very strongly for me. And even 3 of Pentacles is also Capricorn in it, and so it's very work related, and it's setting that foundation, and
And I just last night had a dream, and it was actually a completely different tarot deck in my head that I'm eventually going to have to pull out of there. I've got the first 2 cards came in the dream, and it's the same 78 cards, but it's a little different in the layout of the readings and stuff because I already know how that's supposed to work. So there's definitely some practical stuff now I need to work on.
Bringing
energy,
bringing your dream or vision down to earth is a good thing. But
that's the Pentacle suit.
Huh?
I was just saying that's the Pentacle suit. Yeah. Grounding.
And bringing the Neptune in the 8th house is going deeper into the psychic realm. I mean, that is certainly, those 2 things combined in astrology are psychism and deep understanding, psychological, very deep. Maybe having an experience. Did you ever have an out-of-body experience?
Yes.
Tim? Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, incorporating that into your work in some way.
What 2 cards was it?
It wasn't cards. It was the dice, Neptune, and the 8th.
No, for Tim, for his dream.
Oh,
2 cards, right? Like what 2 cards?
Well, it's very odd. It was like I know they're tarot-ish, but the first one that came up, and they were oversized. So in the deck I'm seeing, for whatever reason, the major arcana is actually larger than the minors. literally. And the spread that you laid out was the one that I use, which is the Querent, Mind, Body, and Spirit. And the first card I saw, it's actually, the card was called Toothache. And it's about excising the things that are causing you pain out of your life. And the other one was Transformed by the Mother, which was all about the Earth Mother and learning how to work with the Earth. And yeah, they're very esoteric, definitely. But it was, it's more, I think it's combining the shamanic stuff that I do with the tarot, as opposed to just doing a shaman's deck. It's, yeah. It was definitely an interesting dream.
Yeah.
Something maybe that you're supposed to create.
Yeah.
And bring,
and ground.
And
here. Bring it here.
I've been in contact with all these people who have created decks, who have been artists on decks, who have done all this stuff. So I'm getting all this practical information and people that I can be connected with on that. So yeah, it's all falling into place.
Good. Oh, we're back.
We're back.
I
lost you.
Disappeared there for a second. Yeah. Oh, we can hear you, Judy. So that's good.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're coming up on time here, so we'll get Judy back here. So, Judy, what is next for you?
Well, what's next is really important. I'm working on there's a little echo here. I hope that's not recording. This was also guided from my spiritual guides, the Brotherhood of Light Workers, and then I had to put together a whole concept based on it. So I'm working with Balboa and hope to have this book printed and maybe on bookshelves maybe 3 to 6 months. I'm not sure, but it's wonderful. It feels great. I'm also working as a creative consultant, spiritual advisor on a movie project, and that is, I don't have a timetable as to when that might be finished, but it's real interesting. It's fun. It's creative. Very spiritually oriented. And, just going along, working with people, clients, having fun. I'm in a active adult senior community here and a lot of socializing. I'm trying to bring some metaphysics to the ladies or gents who want it with some talks once in a while. Yeah, that's what I'm up to.
Well, great. Yeah, of course, have to keep us updated on everything. And Judy, how can the viewers get in touch with you?
Well, my email is Judi, spelled Judi, at wisdompath.com. That's how you can reach me. And that's the best way to contact me if you're interested in a reading or any other thing like a talk or a show. And then, once they contact me, I'll give them the phone number. But that's the best way. And you can check out my website, wisdompath.com. I have all my old articles on there, free, old podcasts of shows, free, a lot of information on there, stuff about the book. You can sign up for a free monthly newsletter called Spirit's Words. I put astrology tidbits in. I put book or movie reviews in. I put a channeling in every month.
Yeah.
I try to get it out every month. So, yeah, please.
Yeah, the newsletter is fantastic. Oh. So, absolutely. I encourage people to go on over to Judy's site.
Look forward to it every month.
Oh, good. Great. Right. And I love feedback, so feel free to write to me.
Of course. All right, Judy. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a super fun hour, and I'm glad that you could make it. So thank you so much. We always learn a lot from you. It's always very, very insightful. So
thanks for having me, Rebecca. It's a joy. Also, Tim, thank you.
Tim, how can the viewers get in touch with you?
You can find me on Facebook at Timothy's Tarot. Or if you're in the Dover, Delaware area, you can get a reading at Bell Book and Candle. The number there is 678-4545.
And I'm your host, Rebecca Brown. You can get in touch with me by visiting my website, browntarot.com, or my blog, 365daysoftarot.com. That's all we have for this episode of the Tarot Talk Show. Again, you can access all of our archive shows and guest bios and upcoming events, all on the tarottalk.com. Next week, next Monday, we are celebrating Cinco de Mayo with the tarot master James Wanless. So he's the creator of the classic, modern, best-selling Voyager Tarot. It's going to be a super fun power hour with James. So I am so excited for that. So join us next time on the Tarot Talk Show. So mote it be.